government is my daddy. And my daddy took away all my lemonade stand money. But I have no right to be angry, because to make up for it, my daddy bought me ice cream. So. Y'all, this is the video I have been waiting to make. Slurp, slurp. This is the video on the enormous hypocrisy of Daniel Foucachon and Andrew Crapuchettes, Moscow, Idaho businessmen. So most of you watching this will not be from Moscow. This is a sequel to the reaction I did to a story in The Guardian. So there's a whole series from the same writer, the same Portlander, coming out in The Guardian, and this is the second one. Now, I'm going to provide the link below instead of doing a longer form reaction. I expect that most of my reactions will be longer form, story up on the screen, talking about it. There wasn't a lot of content, not a lot to talk about in this second story. My hope is that this story is the writer's The Empire Strikes Back. He's obviously the good guy, so you have to have a period in which it looks like you're not winning in order to come back strong. So I sure hope he gets to have his Return of the Jedi moment. So basically, in this story, he brings up two main things. One, election money, and second, business loans, federal loans. But he makes no arguments. So really, I sort of wish that this had been a series of columns so he could just come out and say what he wanted to say. You know, just some editorial pieces. Because he clearly wants us to think a particular thing, but he can't just come out and say it, because he uses phrases like, as The Guardian has reported, to refer to his previous story. This is supposed to be reporting. He states some facts, and he wants us to come to a certain conclusion. Desperately wants us to, because he keeps repeating similar things. But he never comes out and says, this is the conclusion you should make. Now, he can count on most Guardian readers arriving at the conclusion he wants. He just never closes the deal. So this is not about church people doing bad things. It should be, but it's not about church people doing bad things. It's about bad church people doing things. Okay, so I'll summarize a couple of these, but basically what he's talking about are normal things that everyone does, that people do, that are bad because it's people from this church. Christ Church in Moscow. All right. So first, we will start with the Daniel Foucachon example. And full disclosure, my largest contract by far is with a Daniel Foucachon company. All right, so there you go. Conflict of interest. You can ignore everything I say after this. Also, Daniel Foucachon's a cool guy. The Fukushan clan does get mentioned. A sinister, jolly French clan of people who take out federal loans. Oh no. So the hypocrisy here is supposed to be that the Foucachons object to the federal mask mandates and to any mask mandates. They object strongly, and yet they dare take federal loans. Gasp. Normal federal loans. Now, they're not normal. They were emergency federal loans with such good terms because they shut down the economy. You remember that? They shut everything down. And this was the ice cream the federal government offered us so we wouldn't be too sad about it. Well, businesses across the country took these loans. They're amazing terms. But apparently, so he never comes out and says it, right? But apparently this is the hypocrisy we're supposed to see. That they dare to be angry at the government for harming their businesses, but also dare to contrarily accept this help from the government. Now, these are very favorable loans, buttloads of businessmen got them. I would have looked into it if I owned a business, if I weren't my own business, just me, little old me. So that's the Foucachon's enormous hypocrisy. Now, the Fukushan family's Huguenot Heritage Ministry is mentioned, but nothing about what these businesses and operations do. Huguenot Heritage provides Christian material in French for Christians around the world. That's pretty sweet. Here's my reaction to these entities, educational entities, straight up businesses, etc., taking out these loans. My reactions is my wife. She texted me about this. What she said was, "Ooh, they took out a federal loan." One more time, for effect. "Ooh, they took out a federal loan." That, by the way, is exactly how my wife sounds. Anyway, that's the enormous hypocrisy of the Foucachons. The enormous hypocrisy of Andrew Crapuchettes. Well, I guess it's not, we're not supposed to take hypocrisy from this angle of the story. What we're supposed to take is conspiracy. Is everything being done in a sinister fashion? So, when small town politicians who go to our church decide to run for their small town offices, they dare to ask for money from the business people in their church. Now, the ignorance that is assumed of the Guardian readership is absolutely stunning. How does one imagine small town politicians raise funds? They ask their friends, they ask their acquaintances. The only number that is mentioned as far as this stuff goes in the story is a $2,000 donation by Andrew Crapuchettes to James Urquidez. And I'm sorry, James, but $2,000 doesn't sound like serious money. When I run for city council, Andrew Crapuchettes start at $10,000. If I get anything less than 10 grand from you, I'll know you're not interested. Okay, $2,000. Woo! How do you suppose these politicians make their races? They get donations from the people they know. They don't have large fundraising machines getting on phone banks. They ask their friends, they ask their acquaintances. This is just the normal way of doing business. It's exactly how other candidates raised their funds. But ooh, it's supposed to be all scary because it's part of the church's organized theonomic efforts. Everyone is rowing in the same direction to suppress the non-Christians, to oppress the non-Christians. Oh, goodness gracious. We need to do a better job of oppressing, guys. $2,000? Ain't nothing. Come on now. So unfortunately, no meat in this story. And all I get to do is really mock it and trash it because nothing was said. It feels like he wrote X number of words for the whole thing, and his editor said, chop it up into X number of pieces, and that this piece is incomplete. So my hope for him, for the sake of the integrity of his piece, and when I say the integrity of his piece, I don't mean the ethics or the righteousness of this thing. I only mean integrity in the sense of wholeness. It just feels not whole. Poor guy. So I sure hope that the next installment really brings things together nicely and we can see the full weight of the wicked Christchurch conspiracy here in town. Meanwhile, the peace of Christ be upon you.
Aí sim é homem de verdade, não é esses troços do grupo não, essas carcaças velhas, uó, fim de carreira.
Cadê você, profeta, autarquia? Hein? Pedrada no inferno, fala comigo aí, matador de demônio. Hein?